Hey everyone, it's Mera Mangle, and today we're talking all about All Stars 10. The pink group stayed petty all the way up until the very end. That little half a point mattered. Lots of nominees for Heated Angel of the Week. Speaking of Heated Angels, local girls are heated all around the country because of Onya Nurve striking a nerve with some of her opinions and thoughts on being local and not being a Drag Race girl. We're also going to take a look at the new cast of Drag Race Brazil. All that and more coming up right now. Welcome to another Mangled morning. Woo!
This thing is 43 minutes long.
We're just excited. Well, you might notice that I am solo. It is Pride Month, and Pride Month is a drag queen's busiest time of the year, which I believe Onya does mention at some point in her post. We're going to get into that. But scheduling conflicts always come up around Pride Month, and this year's been particularly difficult. I did actually poll my Patreon members to say, hey, y'all want me to just wait, hold off on new content until someone's available, or should I just try doing a Mangle Morning solo? And so we're going to test this out and see if it works. We're going to warm up to the Heated Angels, the drama. Let's start off with Drag Race Brazil Season 2. Really fun personalities. Drag Queen, of course, looks amazing. This new stage looks incredible. I love that the runway floor, even though it's probably just the typical black floor that we have on the US franchise, that they highlight the actual runway. For me, I don't know about some of y'all, but I've always had problems driving at night in the rain. Like, I can't see nothing right. And that's how this new runway floor is. Hopefully the US franchise will incorporate this in their runways as well. That'd be nice. But Drag Queen looks amazing. Also, you know, the group promo, the background and the theme, like, it just feels, unfortunately, very generic. I just wish the production had done a little bit more with, like, not making it feel like an AI-generated version of past promos with feathers. The pastel colors just don't really complement the queen's like more bold looks and bold colors. I don't like that. Also, speaking of AI generated, English dubs for the first time, I think on any franchise that I'm aware of that's with WoW. It was weird, especially because for Drag Queen's voice, like I know what she sounds like, and it was at moments like, damn, it does kind of sound like her. But I actually really liked it, and hopefully folks who, you know, a lot of US folks are like, not interested in watching things with subtitles. And so hopefully this will encourage some to join along in for Brazil Season 2. But I did get a little spooked, not gonna lie. When Desiree first popped up and started walking across that runway, I thought for sure Priscilla from Italy was back. I did think Desiree was very sweet, but it got me. Ruby here in the Peacock, I swear I straight up saw Joan Kollins. You can't tell me that's not her daughter. What a beautiful face. I was like, I see her. I see God. I see Joan Kollins. Melina's mug was beautiful. Melody's smile is incredible. Paolo in the blue hair, she is Vanessa Van Cartier's daughter and sister to Envy Peru. A lot of the looks, that's why I wanted to focus on, like, let me call out all the beautiful mugs and busts up, because these were, like, my favorite. They were incredible. And Dora's mug, before I saw the full promo, I saw that little, you know, headshot of her, and I was like, oh, this is going to be my favorite. The full look, the bottom half did not match, you know, what she was delivering from the neck up for me. But my absolute favorite look from head to toe, I think, was Melody Queen. She feels like the most ready. Now let's start to get into some of the real drama. Onya Nurve, they were at some sort of convention, or it looked like they might have been at a mall, but it was her and a bunch of queens from her season. It looked like maybe they were answering some questions, but the audience was not really feeling this answer. Drag is a real job for Ru girls, and just a hobby for local dolls, which is a very untrue statement. Obviously, I'm sitting here, and queens all across the world have built careers. She was going on about performing for just, you know, local girls performing for 20 people, and if you're not trying to make it on Drag Race, then hang it up, Pookie. It's like an extreme statement. There's parts of that I feel like I understand what she's saying, but, like, it's not true. And also, it's just not fair to say, like, you gotta get on Drag Race to count or for you to make it. Because the reality is, I know queens that have auditioned every single year and don't get on. Like, there is no guarantee that you will ever actually get cast on the show. And you have no control over that. We know that it often has nothing to do with the quality of drag or, obviously, because sometimes there's some suspicious folks that make it on. It comes down to more their storytelling. Like, you can't do anything about what they're working to produce for that season or for any given season, and you may never fit the narrative. Then she, like, makes posts about doubling down on it and really calling out local girls and saying you should be grateful to be booked with me, and you should be grateful that Ru girls come and allow you to be in front of audiences is a weird energy. For someone who just won $200,000, she is awfully bitter. I liked Onya, and she's so talented, but I stand by the fact that out of, I think, any, especially U.S. Drag Race winner, but maybe most international winners I can think of, one of the worst branded queens to be a winner. But I will say, Onya Nurve is living up to her namesake finally and found a brand with that. She really seems to have a disdain for the local professional, which is odd because she was just one, and she said that. I don't know what she did in real life because she clearly was not a full-time drag queen based on the way she views drag. I mean, there's drag legends that are up here that were never on Drag Race and are full-time professional, worldwide known drag queens. Also, people like Gino Birch. I do think that drag, if you're doing drag, especially as a local performer, you have to be passionate about what you're doing. But calling it a hobby, this bitch wins her money, and she's immediately like, we're up here. This is what we do. Basically, like, it's our job. Stay out the way until you are a Ru girl. But I'm so happy for her that she finally has some sort of semblance of a brand, getting on everyone's nerve and making the namesake come to life. That works. So we're about to get into the real heated angels of the week. But before we get into All Stars 10, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like the video, and join the Patreon where you can see all kinds of additional content you can't see on YouTube. You can also support the channel by tipping on Venmo or Cash App, like Michael W., who said full-time watcher and proud. And said thank you, Mera and Co. Because there was someone that was like mid-level watcher. And so I love that he's like, I watch full-time and I'm proud of it. Now, of course, you can also tip with the YouTube thanks, and we'll go over some of those at the end of the video. Let's get into All Stars 10. This little group, I'm so sad that we're done with them. I could have literally watched a whole season of them because they really did bring the drama. This Rusical was half-baked, but everything else, I mean, it doesn't matter. It clearly doesn't matter what the challenges are because the girls are delivering. Starts off with the bottom four deving out the points, and everyone gets points but Tina. Kerri got 2 points here, so Kerri's like all of a sudden coming in because she had 0. We did hear that Kerri and Lydia made a actual, like, I'll scratch my back, you scratch yours. We never heard that with Lydia and Tina. Lydia's pretty careful about what she actually confirms with folks, because everyone wanted a piece of her this season. She handled all that very well, I thought. Mistress, being herself, said during last week's Untucked, Lydia and Tina could pull the same stunt that Jorgeous and I did this coming week, with giving the double points and leaving the other girls in the dust once more. Tina really tries to make it sound like Lydia was trying to do that. What happened was her just being like, oh yeah, that is something that could happen. But it didn't. It wasn't that deep. A lot of people are already rooting for Nicole Paige Brooks to come back on television. This low run, I mean, really got to show off her personality and make people fall in love with her, and I would fully support her coming back on All Stars 11 immediately, just like a Jorgeous did. I don't care if she ever makes it through. I would love to see her in these 3 little episode moments again. This Rusical, the Starrbooty, Rebooty, the good girls, Carrie Colby was the absolute standout. So funny, fully formed character. You know, she's not always the best dancer, but she was the one that popped the most. Nicole sounded funny, like had good line delivery, but they were very kind to her with the editing, with the dancing. You could see she was struggling a bit. The bad girls were definitely a stronger unit. I feel like that always is the case when there's good girls and bad girls. I did agree with Michelle, though, saying that Mistress's arms look so tiny coming out. The other 2 girls had like these fierce gloves on too. Like a fierce glove with maybe a point, you know, could have done something to do that. But she had her little stubs painted. Jorgeous also was the other one that stood out as a fully formed character and obviously the best performer. I think she was overall, with the dancing and all of it, was by far the best in the Rusical. So it fully made sense for her to be one of the winners. But I really thought Kerri could be up there. But I did think that Lydia was hot and looked great. And it is such a fierce redemption to see Lydia to do this so quickly. Also, you know, Jorgeous was just on All Stars last year. But it doesn't feel like it. Like, that season feels like a long time ago. And then when you do think about it, it was the Roxy and Angeria story. I think she managed to pop more and stood out as a contender in these 3 little episodes than she ever did on that whole last season. And I want to say this was one of the shortest cuts we've ever seen of a lip sync song. Like, barely over, 2 minutes. If it was fully 2 minutes. And they both did fine. But Jorgeous, when she laid down on the floor and put that foot over the other one, it was very Crazy in Love. And so I love that energy. I was gagged that of all people who was like, let's really try to pull a stunt, was the one person who's not even in it. Nicole immediately starts working with Tina as they're walking back before the lip sync, saying, are we going to try to keep Mistress out the top. I fully understand why. They're getting messy back and meeting her at her level. It is good entertainment. I think the real heated angel of the week was Carrie Colby. After Mistress does that speech, they cut to Carrie's confessional, and she just lets her have it. She was a heated angel. I really want more of Carrie, too. I think actually everyone in this group got a redemption or made this little format work for them, regardless if they made it through or not. I think everyone had success. We've got our first 6 through to the semifinals. We're going to have a top 9 for semifinals. But, I mean, I think these are, like, the right candidates and the strongest overall. With this group, I would love to see any of the 3 come back for that lip sync tournament because they all have such great stories and it would be so fun to see them again already. Tina, for the drama, she really saw some of the stuff that was happening a little bit different. Obviously, Mistress is a villain and she's playing into that. And it's fun because they were having so much fun with it. The way they were like, you've seen Drag Race All-Stars, right? Like, this is what it's about. Like, the voting is shady and you gotta fight to win. Folks like Lydia, or even Kerri, they're not, like, playing unfair. They're trying to be strategic. I could see them having Tina come back for that lip-sync tournament because she's our first Maxi Challenge winner of the season to not make it through. But low-key, I would actually prefer to see Kerri or Lydia come back. Problem is, they'll come back, it'll be fun to see them, but, like, they're not going to win the show. Actually, would anyone that's been eliminated so far, like, possibly be such an amazing performer that they would pull the Paige? I don't know. Deja's a great lip syncer, though. Let's get into the runway. I think Lydia's runway made a huge impact on her winning this week because it was, for me, get my little paddle out, was by far the best. I love this silhouette. She was talking about Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner, but it was very Yosemite Sam. I lived. I thought it was really cool. Headpiece was really cool. Everything about it was cool. I actually really loved Carrie Colby's, which is another reason I thought she could have been in the top. I thought her runway was beautiful. I did understand what they were saying about the shape of the hat, because it did take me a minute to figure out what was happening. I thought it was maybe a cloud at first when she first started walking, but I loved it, and she looked beautiful. I also liked Tina's look. I thought it was super well made. She was saying that she was going for, like, Wild West Wonder Woman, and she did do this motion. But I don't know, I didn't really buy that. Was modeling it to me as if she was like, hey, come up and see me sometime, saloon girl. Mistress and Jorgeous' looks, they're both good, but they weren't particularly exciting or fresh. I thought Jorgeous looked adorable. She looked like a little girl. Only thing I didn't care about for hers was the little white tights, the stockings. Mistress, this look to me, it reminds me of many versions of a Mugler look we've seen over the years. There was some issues with the bottom half. The nude mesh, being all wrinkled, and it kind of ruined the illusion a little bit of the chaps. Like this look, and for Jorgeous, I think they actually could have been harsher on them. They also could have been definitely harsher on Nicole Paige Brooks. I love the idea of this. Davina DeCampo did a great one on UK season 1, but this was a bottom. Some of the harness pieces were good, but the little pink bodysuit underneath, and then that beat. And the shape it created around her face just didn't work for me. We did get a preview for next week. Here's the deal. This pink group, the drama has been insane from the first preview trailer. It's impossible for this purple group, I feel like, to come anywhere near that. I feel bad that they have to follow them in terms of the epic drama and television that was provided with this last one. There are some spicy folks in here, but it's not going to happen this episode based on the preview. We are going to get some witch looks and a design challenge. Before we get into the purple group, just as I did with the first 2, I asked my Patreon members who they're rooting for, who their top 3 is before we start. Coming in first place was Daya Betty. Very close behind her was Acid Betty. So the Bettys were definitely the winners. Not too far behind Acid is Denali. They were definitely clearly the top 3. This one, Ginger, at least she hit double digits. Alyssa, I feel like we have either no expectations or kind of weak assumptions of what she's going to deliver based on her season and based on the EW interview, honestly. It was her and Phoenix that I was like, well, they're not going to do well based on the way they were talking about the challenges. And then Cynthia, I'm always rooting for Cynthia, but do I necessarily think she'll make it to the top 3? I don't see that. But she's going to be another queen that's just going to be lovable to see every week. But the Bettys are definitely the most intriguing. But what do you think about the purple group? Are you excited for them? Do you think they can bring it? Now it's time to get into our YouTube thanks. And up first is my girl Tex Aaron, who said, some of Michelle's judging comments this season remind her of Jeffrey Boyd Chapman, Canada season 1. I could see that. This week, though, I feel like she was fine. There wasn't like a big stretch. The stuff she did point out, I was like, yeah, I get that. They said that after his NDA was over, He let us all know that I remember that. He said that he was told a lot of that to say, like, basically lines like an actor would. I think we've talked about this in the past, but way back in the day, Laganja Strange's What You Packin', Michelle said something, like, they really had it out. And I want to say Michelle literally says, like, I didn't think that. I had to say that. Michelle really breaking the fourth wall about the reality of her judging, that it's not necessarily real. But it's been a while since she's been this, like, it's been this odd. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes for this last group. I think we're going to see it every week because especially the first two challenges, you can feel she's the one that they're driving the narrative of who's in and out of the top two, what's excusing them and what's, making them the contenders. But sometimes it's a stretch. Up next, David said, "Hi, Mera and Fab." She's here in spirit. Just wanted to send this super thanks for two reasons. To say thank you, obviously, for brightening our week, especially for me. Thank you, David. And two, for you and anyone who doesn't know, there's actually 9 drag queens that have a Funko Pop. RuPaul, Alaska, Trixie, Katya, Jinx Monsoon, Adore Delano, Pablo Vittar, all queens we love and support. And then 2, it's crazy that there's only 9 ever made and 2 of them are pretty much fully canceled. That's wild. I don't have all 9. I never got Trixie, and I never got Sharon, but I have all the other ones. Some of them are out here now. Alaska, Adore, Pablo, Jinx and Katya are over there. Because I like to rotate them in and out. I love little Funkos. I've got my Funkos. I keep those up there from fans that people have sent me. I miss the P.O. Box. I do have Elvira up there and Bugs Bunny. They did those 9. And I can't believe they've never done any others. And like the Trixie one, I think the only reason I didn't ever get that is because it sold out right away. And if you want to buy resales of it, it's hundreds of dollars. Thank you for everything you do, Mera. It truly matters more than what you might think or realize. Much love for all of you. Thank you, David. And then finally, Max said, "Would love to hear your opinion on the fans' reaction to Violet Chachki. She's pretty much built her brand on being blunt and kind of mean. Although the fans love it when she's reading the girls on the pit stop. One of her episodes is one of the most viewed pit stops ever. They then turn on her when she's giving her opinion on a season or a certain queen's looks. Just feels fickle and kind of hypocritical. Personally, it was like a turn on her a bit when she basically was like, season 17 was horrible. I was shocked that actually even happened. She actually gets away with a lot that most folks can't. Doing YouTube covering Drag Race for 5 years now, and I still don't always fully understand or am surprised at reactions to certain things. Sometimes it's like, well, that's not even that serious. And then when it is serious or it is something that upsets me, most of the time people are like, no, that's not really a thing for me. So I couldn't tell you. I couldn't predict it. Queens that are like the chosen one by the kids. If anyone messes with them, you become the villain of that story when you're not treating them any different in your eyes, but they are very protective over their faves. Which is funny because we talked about the Onya Nurve story just last year. News articles went around saying like, Violet thinks there's too many drag queens. Like, it's such a weird and silly thing for her, for anyone that's at that level. Well, why do you care? You're not out there with them. What is it, just annoy you to have to look at them? Well, then turn off the damn TV. People that will cover Drag Race that are, huge names in the Drag Race franchise, and it's like, they don't seem to actually enjoy covering the show at all. It's like, stop doing it. Why are you still doing it? You're hurting yourself. Speaking of that, I just saw a clip of Evie Oddly covering, I think she's covering All-Stars, but that's what they're talking about. And she's just going on and on about how she hates All-Stars. Then just, like, what a weird and wasteful energy. Actually, all 3 of the folks we've talked about, Onya, Violet, and Evie, to be a winner of the franchise and be like, I hate this, this, and that. Girl, what? Like, why are you mad? Why are you mad, though, Morgan McMichaels? Let me know in the comments below what you think of my first ever solo Mangled morning. I feel like I've literally just been talking to myself like a mad woman, and I don't need that. I have one last thing to say today. Glad you got to see me. Bye! My catchphrase finally makes sense. Glad you got to see me.